What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be getting into my American Athletic Conference Tournament predictions video. Obviously, this is just mainly known as the American Conference. But anyway, guys, let's get into it. Obviously, it's been a little bit of a down year without Houston in the conference, but still a pretty darn solid conference, of course. Let's get into these predictions here. Starting out with the standings, number 1 seed is going to be South Florida, finishing 16-2 in conference play. Really coming out of nowhere here in this conference. We're a top 25 team, number 24 in the last ranking, so you got to give credit to them. They've been playing some good basketball. Number 2, we have Florida Atlantic, finishing 14-4 in conference play. Florida Atlantic's a team that is on the bubble right now, kind of above the bubble, inside the tournament right now. So as long as they don't get upset, I think they should be fine. And then 3-seeded Charlotte is going to be 13-5 in conference play. They needed some work to do, obviously, to make this NCAA tournament. 4-seeded UAB finishing 12-6 in conference play. Then 5-seeded Memphis. If you have not heard, Memphis has been an interesting team all year. Well, ranked inside they were number 10 at one point. Then they lose to South Florida. And then they go on like a 4-game losing streak and just kind of completely fall off the map until recently, where they've kind of figured things out. Did lose to Florida Atlantic last night. I want to take a look here. At Joe Lundardi's recent bracketology on the 8th, they were in the next 4-out column, the 5th team out of the NCAA tournament. So they're right in the mix, obviously. It looks like Joe Lundardi came out with a new bracketology today, but I'll have to do that pretty soon. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Memphis is the 5th ranked team in the conference with an 11-7 record, tied up with 6-seeded SMU, also 11-7 in conference play. Then we get to 7-seeded North Texas. Good first year for them. I believe this is their first year in this conference. They finish 10-8 in conference play. Then we get to a little bit of a drop-off here. 8-seeded East Carolina finishing 7-11, tied up with Tulsa, also finishing 7-11 in conference play. Then we get to 10-seeded Tulane, finishing 5-13 in conference play, tied up with 11-seeded Temple, 12-seeded Wichita State, 13-seed Rice, and 14-seed UTSA, all finishing 5-13 in conference play. So that's a 5-way tiebreaker that Tulane won. All right, but enough of that. Let's get into our predictions here. Going to start out with the matchup between 12-seeded Wichita State and 13-seed Rice. If we take a look here, Wichita State's had a bit of a down year. They're usually a decent program. These two just met on the 2nd of March, where Wichita State dominated Rice. So with that being said, I am going to go with Wichita State here. Rice is on a 4-game losing streak as well, kind of falling off the map. So give me Wichita State to pull off the win. And then next matchup between 11-seeded Temple and 14-seed UTSA. Let's take a look here. Temple beat UTSA just on the 10th. Yesterday. They beat UTSA. That was big for Temple's standings to get this 11 seed. But I do think that with that being said, I do believe that UTSA can make adjustments. Obviously, this isn't your typical 11 versus 14. These two are right at the same record. So I think this one will go to UTSA. Not a firm believer in either of them. Honestly, these two are pretty much toss-ups, but give me UTSA in the win. All right, moving on here. East Carolina taking on Tulsa, 8 versus a 9-seeded matchup here. Let's take a look. East Carolina is on a pretty big losing streak, it looks like. On the 7th of January, East Carolina won by 5. That was at East Carolina. And that was their only matchup. Give me Tulsa, though. East Carolina is a struggling team right now. Tulsa just beat the best team in the conference in South Florida, which they will meet if they get the win. That is my analysis there. East Carolina is a very cold team, so I do have Tulsa pulling off the win. And then 5-seeded Memphis taking on 12-seeded Wichita State. Memphis, this is a must-win game for them as well, obviously, with Wichita State. On the 14th of January, when Memphis was dominant, they crushed Wichita State by like 16. And then on the 3rd of February, Memphis won by just 2 points. So maybe I could see an upset here. It's tough to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. I do believe in Memphis, though, to pull off the win. They are the better team. So that's why I'm going to go with Memphis there. All right, North Texas taking on Tulane. 7 versus a 10-seeded matchup. These two met on the 28th of February, where North Texas won on the road by 4. North Texas is a good program here. Tulane's not a bad team, but I do like North Texas in this game. As I mentioned, really solid program for them. So give me the Mean Green to pull off the win. And 6-seeded SMU taking on 11-seeded UTSA. It's been a good year for SMU for their program. These two just recently met in March the 2nd, not this past Saturday, but the last Saturday. UTSA won by 4. And that was at SMU. That's a big-time win for 14-seed UTSA. Do I believe that UTSA will be able to beat SMU twice? I don't think so. I am going to go with SMU. SMU's had a little bit of an iffy end to their regular season, but I do still believe in that team, so give me SMU. So that is that round. Let's get to the quarterfinals, where we have South Florida taking on Tulsa. Obviously, these two just met, and Tulsa upset South Florida by 6 a couple days ago. And then they also met on the 14th of February, where this one was being played in South Florida. South Florida just squeaked out the win. So honestly, I don't think South Florida wants to play Tulsa. It seems like it's a team that's been giving them trouble. Not many teams have been able to beat South Florida, but Tulsa was one of them. I do still believe in South Florida, though, overall. I think they are a better team. Tulsa has to obviously go through East Carolina as well. So it's going to be tough for Tulsa to beat East Carolina and then go right back to beat the best team in the conference. That is why I am going with South Florida in that game. Then our next matchup, UAB taking on Memphis. 4-seeded versus a 5-seeded game. Must win for both them, obviously. On the 28th of January, UAB won by 9 over Memphis. That was at UAB. And then Memphis just absolutely dominated them on the 3rd of March. I do believe that this Memphis team is more talented for a reason. I know UAB has the better seed, but honestly, I just think that Memphis is the better team. I do think Memphis will be able to beat them. So that sets up a great matchup between South Florida and Memphis in the semifinals. Okay, but then we have Florida Atlantic taking on North Texas. Fun game here. 2 of the new teams in this conference battling it out. If we take a look, Florida Atlantic beat North Texas on the 28th of January just by 3 points, though. And then on the 6th of March, Florida Atlantic won by 4. I always say it. That was at North Texas. I always say it. It's tough to beat a team 3 times. I'm not the biggest believer in Florida Atlantic. I'm honestly going to go with the Mean Green. Why not go with a 7-seeded upset here? A team that I was high on last year, unfortunately, lost in their conference tournament. I do believe they still have that talent. They're a well-coached team. Give me North Texas to advance on. Really solid program. 2 good ones there. But I do have the upset. And then we have 3-seeded Charlotte taking on 6-seed SMU. These two met on the 2nd of January. SMU won by 8. That was at SMU. And that's been their only matchup of the year. And I do have to go with Charlotte, a team that's hot. SMU hasn't been really the same as of late. So that's why I do go with Charlotte in that one. Okay, that is the quarterfinals. Semifinals time. South Florida taking on Memphis. If Memphis can get this win, that will really boost their chances. South Florida is a team that I think would for sure be on the bubble watch, but obviously both these teams would want to win this game and make it to the tournament. On the 18th of January, South Florida beat Memphis by a point. I believe that was a buzzer beater game. And then that was when Memphis was ranked number 10. That has been their only game of the season. Very interesting here. Who do I believe will win? It's honestly a toss-up. I could see it going either way. But South Florida's been such a good team all season. I mean, in the American Conference play. I do have South Florida. I know Memphis was a very good team. They have a lot of talent. We're very good in non-conference play, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And with the loss to South Florida, that might I think Memphis is for sure going to be questioning if they're going to make it to the actual NCAA tournament, but South Florida gets a big-time win. So then we have 7-seeded North Texas taking on 2-seeded Charlotte, or 3-seeded Charlotte, for a chance to play South Florida. These two met on the 20th of January, and Charlotte won by 12. That was at Charlotte. And that's been their only matchup. Give me 3-seeded Charlotte. I am going to go with the 49ers to advance on. So then the championship game, we have South Florida taking on Charlotte. These two met on the 6th of February. South Florida won by 3. That was at South Florida. And then on the 2nd of March, South Florida won by 15 at Charlotte. So again, like I said, it's tough to beat a team 3 times, but I do have faith in South Florida. I am going to give South Florida the conference win. So yeah, congratulations to South Florida. But anyway, guys, thank you all for watching this video today. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the content. Comment down below your predictions. Anyway, guys, peace out.